Last time on Slayers the Ruby Eye.
Well, for a little girl, you've got pretty big balls.
Excuse me?
Exactly why are those guys after you?
The Ruby Eye must have put a magic mark on something before I took it. Who is it?
I'm simply someone who wishes to make a transaction.
Go ahead, Mr. Bodyguard, open the door.
Lena.
A moment later, we got a good look at the man we were dealing with. Now resuming on Slayers the Ruby Eye. Chapter 2. A hard man is good to find. Part 1. He certainly was a sight to behold. His entire body was covered in white. He wore a white mantle, a white robe, a white hood. Everything was swathed in white. But his eyes, there was something about him. And standing behind him was... Oh great, it's you again. My expression soured as I recognised the mummy man from earlier. The pair entered the room slowly. The mummy man dragging his feet was enough to flatter me. Gowry closed the door behind them, and the mummy man's entire body started trembling. He glanced back over his shoulder, probably regretting the fact that his exit had been cut off. I do love making first impressions like that. The man in white, however, did not move a muscle. They stopped in the very centre of the room, halfway between me and Gowry.
The two of you have met, then?
Oh, yes, we go way back. I mean, just this afternoon we were painting the town red.
Why, you cheeky?
We're always cutting it up. Ain't that right, my bandage buddy?
You're asking for it, you are. Enough.
The man in white lifted his hand to keep him in his place and prevent him from kicking off.
My regrets. This is my associate, Zolf. He is most loyal, if overzealous at times. I ask you please forgive his actions. We are here to conduct business, not to brawl.
That's fine by me, as long as you don't mind me jacking up the price for the expenses he's caused me. I sneered greedily. Just then I noticed for the first time that the man in white wasn't entirely human. The light in the room wasn't great. I could still make out through his hood's opening. The skin around his eyes was stone. I had never seen anything like this before. At first I thought I was imagining it, but no. This guy's face was made of stone. Maybe he's some kind of golem? But no. Golems are created to be servile, and this dude had a spark in his eye. The unmistakable glint of free will. He was, without a doubt, acting on his own behalf.
I suppose that's to be expected. You're quite the businesswoman. Shall we commence our negotiation?
So you want to buy an object that I possess. Can you be more specific? I assume you're talking about one of the ones that I had a quick glance at Gowry. Liberated from the band of thieves a short time ago?
Yes, but I will not clarify which one.
And why is that then? Pretty hard to sell you something when I don't know what you want. I raised an eyebrow suspiciously. Unless, of course, he thinks I don't know the value of the objects I possess. Then I believe we have hit a bump in the road here then, haven't we?
If I were to specify which object I desire, you might withhold the item from sale. Merely as a curiosity, might you not?
Really, buddy. This game of four-dimensional mind chess is really impractical for your purposes right now. He seemed to realise that too.
Here's what I propose. We agree the prices in advance for each object, and then I take the one I desire, and will give you whatever price you had previously named.
Ah, very clever. You know, I don't remember seeing you at the bandit camp. I really can't picture a smart guy like you hanging around with those slimy assholes.
You did not see me because I was not there. I am merely an admirer of this object.
So, a collector's piece maybe? Something worth tracking down.
I had initially sent Zolf to search for it. He managed to infiltrate the bandits, becoming one of their rank and file to acquire the object. He too had intended to liberate the item, but before he got the chance to...
I busted in and set everything on fire, right?
Oh, correct.
I see. So you get the bandits to do your dirty work by obtaining the item in the first place, and then you swoop in and sweep it out from under their noses.
I do not think you're in the position to judge.
Who is judging? It seems a pretty savvy business plan to me. I'm just trying to work out how much it's worth to you. Okay, I'm gonna guess you don't want the gemstones. Those are just ordinary gemstones.
You have assumed correctly.
I don't think he's as smart as he thinks he is. He let me rule that one out for free. So that leaves us with a statue, a knife, and a bunch of old coins. So, pricing. Let's start off with this beautiful blade. I named my price. Is there a problem? The man in white was literally taken back. He actually took a step backwards whilst the mummy man gawked, with both his eyes and mouth hanging wide open, and Gary just stared dumbfounded.
Little girl, that's kind of steep.
Hey, I do not need to hear that from you, Mr. Bodyguard. Whose side are you meant to be on anyway? This bozo here said he would pay me whatever price I named, and I only asked for 100 times the street price. Which, granted, is enough to buy a castle and a half, but he said, whatever price I name, didn't he? If he wants a more reasonable price, he can shop elsewhere.
I came here prepared to pay 3 times the street value for the item. Not 100!
Ooh, I drew some ire there. Go on then. Try to find your item somewhere else then.
This isn't a game.
Okay, yeah, it's not a game. Okay, just for you, I'll cut the prices in half.
Half?
Yes, for a limited time only, 50% off all stolen goods. Get them while they're hot. Get it? Hot? Like, because we're fencing goods? Mr. Bodyguard, you get it, right?
Ha ha ha.
Ah, you all suck.
How dare you waste our time?
Raged the mummy man.
Zolf, silence. I don't suppose you'll accept installments? Neither?
The mummy man snarled under his breath. Not from you.
Are you trying to make enemies at this point?
I'm also not going to agree to any insulting conditions whilst being treated like a little kid by a third-rate sorcerer who can't tell the difference between a fireball and a fucking light spell.
What?
You can see his pride fracture in his eyes, realising they had been taken in by a phony fireball spell. Whatever pride he had in his eyes previously was now taken over by malice and hatred.
You, first of all.
He paused to take a deep breath before reading off my litany of offences. But before he could boil over, the man in white intervened.
Zolf, I asked you to remain quiet.
The mummy man tucked his tail and whimpered at the rebuke.
Then, as my final offer, perhaps you would consider joining us. In a year? No, half a year. You would be paid back to perhaps 3 times as much as you have asked for.
I'll consider it. I crossed my arms and scratched my chin in the universe gesture of, I'll think it over. And what, if I don't join your hate me forever and try to hunt me to the ends of the earth? The man in white did not reply. I could see his eye twitch. In that case, I might decline your kind offer. I try to make a practice of avoiding your types at all costs. Call it a woman's intuition. He huffed. But, intuition or not, I eyed the mummy man. I would rather die than work with the likes of you. Zolf leaned forward and looked like he was about to say something, probably both witty and vicious. But the man in white put a stop to that. Both fear and ferocity crackled on the air between me and the man in white. The strength of this guy was palpable. He was definitely no ordinary being. We continued to glare at each other for several long minutes. He sighed loudly.
You are a very stubborn woman. It seems our negotiations have reached an impasse.
Yeah, that's too bad, I said, feigning disappointment.
Yes, it is. As agreed, I will retire for the evening. Then, at sunrise tomorrow, I will no longer be honor-bound, and I will assail you with all of my might. You and I will become enemies the moment you step foot outside of this inn.
I nodded almost imperceptibly, indicating I understood. He turned his back to me slowly.
Let us go, Zolf. But...
Go on, run after Daddy. The man continued forward to the threshold where Gary held the door. Zolf hesitated for an instant, but then followed the man outside. The man in white turned his face and spoke.
Oh, my name is Zelgadis.
I'll remember that. Gary closed the door with a small thud. He waited until he was sure that our guests were out of earshot. Finally, he spoke.
Okay, Lena, did you seriously think you were going to get that for an asking price?
What? No, of course not. What did you expect me to do? Sell the object to that bunch? No questions asked? Do I come across as that stupid? Gary shook his head and sighed. He didn't think I could tell from across the room, but I could tell he was smiling.